Well, dude, I'm super stoked about this. You've got one of the most interesting careers, I think, out of everybody I've ever met. How do we get here?
Yeah, super like non-typical path from kind of where I started. So I would say like I was a college athlete. Baseball was pretty much my life up until a certain point. And like
Okay.
I in school, I was kind of headed down like the biology route. So more like even like so on like the ecology side of things. I was thinking like I want to be in conservation or fish and wildlife, even doing like a game warden or like a park ranger type deal.
Okay.
One, I just like love being outside.
Did you like grow up fishing, hunting, doing like
Yeah,
that kind of thing? Okay.
for sure. Big bass fisherman. So I'm from Georgia.
Okay.
Big bass fisherman was like take my John boat out, as much as I could, go hiking, always going on like a new trail up in the North Georgia mountains. Like me and my buddies getting lost, searching for waterfalls, like
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, that's what I love doing outside of playing baseball.
Okay.
I got a little brother. We would like ride dirt bikes and stuff like that. But just like for the most part, man, like my parents were just always like, dude, get outside.
Right.
That's where you need to spend your time.
Like curfews that when the sun sets kind of thing, just like go have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just like if we were downstairs playing video games at a certain point, my mom would just go down and she'd be like, get out, And so that was as far as like what I enjoyed doing. I was like, if I can spend as much time outdoors as I possibly can, like I would love to do a job that has that in it. So went to school, went to a junior college first to play baseball, transferred to West Georgia and played a couple years there. And from that point, I went out and played like professionally, you would call it, but it's like independent ball.
Okay.
A lot of baseball bros, like a lot of dudes that are pretty much done playing baseball, but they're just trying to stretch it out as long as you could. So this is kind of like bottom of the barrel league. I lived with a host family, made like $600 a month.
Wow.
And I played that season, was doing really good. I would say like, as far as like in my career, like playing really well. I got picked up for a team the next year to go play in the Frontier League.
Okay.
And then so I went back home to Georgia. I was working at like a horse and pet feed store, like slinging hay, going to horse farms, just like delivering hay and stuff. And I applied for this internship. And this is where things get like super random because it's nowhere near like what I'm doing now.
Right.
I was an intern at a place called Marineland in Florida.
Okay.
And like specifically like dolphins, like an animal training internship. Yeah, we haven't talked about this.
Yeah. Okay.
So at one point in my life, like I was interning to be a dolphin trainer and worked there for like 4 months. They ended up hiring me on, worked there for like a season. It was like a seasonal position.
Okay.
Went from that to getting a job with the Navy with their Navy Marine Mammal Program.
How do you make like what does making the cut look like to be like you get to be a dolphin trainer?
Most of them are
season?
Psychology majors. So they like study
okay.
animal behavior,
Yeah.
like operant conditioning.
Yeah.
There's more psychology majors probably than like biology in that field.
Right.
And there's not a ton of dudes. Like there's not a ton of guys that would choose to go there. And like, dude, I was living in Florida, in St. Augustine, Florida. Went there and was like, man, this is kind of it. I loved animals for sure. And that was a big part of like, I've always wanted to do something in conservation, but definitely not on the training side of things. So like, anyway, went there, had a good experience, got hired on with the Navy. So the Navy has a marine mammal program. You can look this up. It's like different marks for different areas of the country. So I worked in Kings Bay, Georgia at a submarine base, training dolphins and sea lions, basically to like find people.
Whoa. So if like someone, search and rescue kind of thing?
No, more like if somebody's going to come into a base, they're most likely going to come subsurface, like closed circuit, Navy SEAL, like diving gear.
Okay.
So we would act as someone like literally infiltrating the base and then train the animals to find us as quick as possible. So like dolphins use like their echolocation and then like sea lions have crazy visibility in low light. So they would work as a team to like find us. So I would act as
this is the coolest thing I've ever heard.
This is the coolest thing about me. 100%.
Yeah.
Like
right.
When I tell people I've done this, they're like, wait, what? Like, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So man, I did that for like a year and a half and it was such a cool experience. Like when you learn a lot about just like behavior in general,
right?
But you're in the water, you're diving. It's a 24-hour job. Like some days we were diving at like 2 a.m. I remember there's one day in February, it was freezing outside. It was like 2:00 a.m. And when you dive, you're tethered to a buddy.
Okay.
And we're going down like, you go down like close to 60 feet sometimes and just in pitch black water, just waiting on these animals to find you. And you can look up all this on the internet. If you want to know more, because I don't want to spend too much time. But it's like, it was the coolest job ever, but it wasn't necessarily something that I was like, I want to do this forever.
Right.
So anyway, was doing that. And in the back of my mind was still wanting to play baseball. And I'd made this team in Normal, Illinois, the Normal Corn Belters. And I went to a tryout, made the team, went from the internship at Marineland, got hired on to the Navy. But at the same time, I had to choose, like, am I going to continue doing this or am I going to go back and play ball? And I just remember calling my dad and being like, I was 23 at the time, and being like, this is, my dad was the one that I was probably like always trying to, like impress with ball. That was me and him, like our relationship. And he was like, you should do what you want to do. Like, you've had a great career. And in that moment, I was like, all right, this is it. So like, that's when I quit ball. Went up to Kings Bay, worked at that base for a while, and then started getting involved in like a little bit more like Olympic lifting and like training on the side. So like,
were you like training on base, or was this just something that you're just like doing for fun? Trained
on base a little bit, and then I joined like a CrossFit gym. It was Camden CrossFit, and started getting like, I just loved it. I just loved like that style of training, but mostly I loved the Olympic lifting part of it because it was like a new thing to compete in.
Yeah.
Got pretty good at it. I competed for a while. Anyway, I got a call from my buddy, Ben, who actually ended up marrying me and my wife. He was like, when it comes to like my faith and my relationship with Christ, he was like, instrumental in kind of like guiding me on how to, pursue that and actually be like a disciple. And he told me about this gym in Tennessee, or he told me about this gym out of Birmingham. They were looking for coaches, and they had like a ministry aspect to it and all, like, that kind of stuff. And I was like, I've never thought about coaching. I actually don't think I've ever wanted to be a coach, but like, this seems pretty cool how they tie the two together.
Right.
So I went up and interviewed. I got a job at a gym in Knoxville, Tennessee. So that was my first like coaching experience. So went up there, ended up being like the lead coach. 6 months into it, the manager, he quit. And so then I started managing this gym. And dude, I was a biology major, like had no business like managing a gym.
And you're what, 25 at the time?
It's like 24.
Okay.
20, yeah. 25, I guess. But I knew how to coach. And like, we had a really good staff that would just like coach their butts off.
Right.
And we ended up growing the gym, and it was a really good experience. But like during that time, one of the members was like, man, you should think about coaching athletes. And like, there's colleges all around you could volunteer at. So, Carson Newman was a school like just north of the gym in Knoxville. And I was like, I gave the new head strength coach, Johnny Long, who used to coach at Tennessee. He was Tennessee's head strength coach when they won the national championship.
Oh, wow.
Like with Phil Fulmer.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'd love to just come shadow. So went up there for a day or two. He was brand new, didn't really have a big staff, and the softball team needed a coach.
Right.
And he was like, you're the softball coach. The softball coach is strength coach. And he was like, you got it. So like, I would kind of like show him, I was new to programming,
right?
New to college athletics and like programming, especially like for sport and like knowing the demands of the sport. And then that really like defining how I write and then also coach.
Right.
But I started doing that, and a couple of weeks in, I was just like, man, I love this.
What did it take to, at that phase of your life, to be able to be like, okay, I went from like this biology major to diving with seals and dolphin. Like you've got like so many different steps in this thing, and like you find this love for CrossFit and for coaching. Like, what at that point, I feel like a lot of people get in their own way because they think, man, I would reach out to this coach, but I don't have the rap sheet yet. I don't have the experience. Like, you kind of make up those excuses for why you're not qualified to take that first step yet. What allowed you in that moment to be like, no, I'm just going to reach out to this dude who's coached national championship programs already?
Honestly, like I think initially I just wanted to be a better coach. Like I wanted to see another side of things, because the majority of the people that we coach were just general public. Yeah. And like some of them were former athletes, and some of them were pursuing their own fitness goals, or like they had specific things that they wanted to accomplish for whatever reason. Maybe they're competitive in running, or like they still play pickup basketball or something like that. Yeah. But like, I remember my experience, and this is huge for me, because I would say like I didn't have in high school, and then even in college, a coach that taught me really like how important training can be for success in a sport. So it was like, I love playing ball, but like I was the guy in the weight room that would, and this is like hard to admit sometimes because now I would pride myself to be the complete opposite, but like
Yeah.
I would skip exercises and reps because I wouldn't want to be sore
Oh,
for
yeah.
the next game.
Yeah.
And like, it was like, I never saw the benefit of training until I honestly started training at that CrossFit gym in Kings Bay, Georgia. And I was like, I feel so good. I feel faster than I've ever felt. Like from when I was a college athlete, I feel stronger than I've ever been. And I started like thinking like, okay, what are, the true benefits of this and how can I learn more about what your body is actually capable of?
Yeah.
And if you're trying to do this specific thing, how can training help you do that? And I would just say like, initially it was just to go learn.
So it was just purely curiosity is like, okay.
Yeah. I want to go learn from this guy who has coached athletes at the highest level,
Yeah.
taken them to a championship, and then now is like coaching at Carson Newman and it's right up the road and I can go volunteer.
Yeah.
So that was it. But then also I think like the person, the gym was called Iron Tribe. The person at the gym, his name's Noel, who told me that I should reach out to, someone to coach college athletes.
Right.
I never even thought of that. I was like, I never even thought that was a possibility. And I started looking at, especially like collegiate strength and conditioning and what that job entailed.
Yeah.
And I was like, in my job in Iron Tribe, like my main metric for success was memberships and growing a gym. And I think I was decent at it. But what I love the most is being on the floor. So now to hear about a job where the majority of my time is on the floor with athletes who you would think would want to be there. There's still college athletes that hate the weight room.
Yeah.
You would be naive to think like everybody loves to lift or train in general. But like most of these athletes realize the importance of training and like how it's going to, relate to their sport.
Right.
That was interesting to me.
Okay.
I was like, maybe this is an environment that I could be in where I'm doing what I love more often. And still, getting to do like what I enjoy.
Okay. So it's just like, it's purely passion led at that point then. It's like passion and curiosity.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens when you get there? So you're doing the softball thing.
Yeah. So I would start like we started early at Iron Tribe, but I had coaches that would have, the early mornings. And then I would normally I'll get up super early, drive to Carson Newman, coach the football team, 2 groups of the football team, and then the softball team. And then sometimes I would stay and watch the basketball strength coach them as well, just because I wanted to see it. And then I would drive back to Knoxville and then work the rest of the day.
Dang.
And I started enjoying coaching more in college in that environment than I did the type of workouts we were doing with them. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So I had a house there. I had a great job, had a great community, and I decided to go back to grad school. So I left Knoxville after like 3 years and went back to West Georgia where I was an undergrad and I was a grad assistant strength and conditioning coach.
Wow.
And I just remember walking into this room. We called ourselves, it was like room 503. We called ourselves the 503 boys.
Okay.
But like walking into this room and I didn't know anybody. Like the room itself, it was like smaller than this room. It had a twin bed or like a full size bed, had this little spot for your desk. And I'm like, I'm 28 years old. Like, what are you doing? Like you just left a career to do something that now you have no idea where this is going to take you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was like a moment where I look back, I was like, what are you doing?
Were you married at the time?
No, I had a girlfriend.
Okay.
And she was in Tennessee, but then we ended up like breaking up. But like, I would say right then, I think the biggest thing is I left a community.
Right.
And I've done that. Like, it's hard leaving that. Even I've done that several times in my life. And it's like, that's the hardest part about moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's not usually the place. It's like the community of people that you're leaving, knowing you're about to have to start a completely new community.
How did you, so you said that when you made the decision to stop playing baseball, like you called your dad and you kind of got that like, almost like signing off and being like, dude, you did it.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
I think that, I'm about to turn 27. And so I'm starting to feel that, I wouldn't say that weight, but like you start to look at yourself in the mirror and being like, okay, I've been out of college this long. I've been, trying to do my thing in the world for a bit. What do I have to show for it? Or like, what if things start feeling real?
Yeah.
And so being willing to be 28 years old and looking at it being like, man, I've got the community. I've got a good job. I'm making an impact. Like, it's a big move to go from that to going to like an unpaid maybe position and to move into like college dorms again, essentially.
Exactly.
How do you make that decision? Like, what was like the weight around that during the time?
Yeah. I think it's that I've always been driven. Like, I think the most valuable thing we have is our time. So like for me, like, how am I going to spend my time? And like, for me, I wanted to spend my time pursuing this new career and this new passion for like coaching athletics that I found when I started to volunteer. And for me, that was worth it. And it didn't make sense to a lot of people. And it gets even worse because I ended up going from like grad school where I'm at least getting my school paid for, my housing getting paid for, to then like interning at Oregon where I'm going to be completely unpaid.
Right.
And it's like that, it just keeps like digging. And dude, the amount of people who even like the closest, some of the closest people in your life are like, man, where is this going?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And I think a lot of it, man, was like, was faith. And a lot of it was like, no, I just believe there's huge benefit in pursuing the things you're passionate about, because that's what's going to last long term. And like, I had found something that I truly, truly loved, and coaching was it. And then just going and like pursuing that, knowing like there's potential to make a great living doing that. But like starting over was a big step, and it felt like a huge step backwards.
How did you get people? Well, I don't even know if that's the right question, but like during that time where people are like asking you those heavy questions and they're like, dude, what's going on here? How did you answer those questions for yourself? And then how did you answer them to the people who are asking?
Yeah. I think a lot of it is the people that are asking the questions just want you to be taken care of. And they want, it's out of love, and they want you to be like your parents, for example. All your parents want to know is that you're happy, that you're taken care of, that like financially you're in a good spot, you're comfortable.
Yeah.
And like, so a lot of the questions were coming out of that light and out of that angle. And just like, I would answer those questions with like, no, I am, even though I don't have a great paying job, even though I live in basically a dorm with 3 guys that I just met who became really good friends, but like stepping into that. And I'm sure my mom usually travels with me when I go to like a new job. It's just kind of like our thing. We'll do a road trip. Yeah. And I'm sure she left that and was like, man, what in the world is going on?
I don't know about this one. Dude.
Yeah, for sure. And I've probably done that to her a lot. But like, I would say it was less about convincing them and more about like convincing yourself that like, this is truly what you want to be doing, and that this is truly what you're pursuing, because you know that it's something that's going to be sustainable for a long time because you truly enjoy it.
Right.
And for me, I believed that my success coaching and building a community in Tennessee was going to carry over into like working with athletes. I think that's something that like I'm pretty good at, is like even getting kids that don't necessarily love to train to like at least like not hate it.
Yeah.
Is maybe like a gift of mine. And I just believe that like this is the path that I was supposed to take, and I was willing to be unpaid. And I think money too, for me, has never been a driver.
Okay.
And and like money's great. And like, I want to make a ton of money, and I want to be successful, and I want to have my own like incredible garage gym and like all these things. But like in that part of my life, I just wanted to do something that I loved.
Right.
And I just wanted to do, I had baseball, and then now I was like looking for that thing that I loved. And it's like, that's for me, I started really loving coaching, and like to love your job is pretty rare.
Very rare. There's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. And I think that people have this misconception where when you find the thing that you want to do, and you find that thing that's like super passionate, I love it, like this is my thing. Yeah. I think that people look at that and they're like, man, that must be such a blessing. You must be walking on cloud 9 all the time. And like, this must be just like, and this is what enlightenment looks like. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times what people don't realize though, is once you find that thing and you get that calling, there's a lot of really hard things that come on the other side of that. Like in your case, for example, you have to move states potentially. You have to leave people behind. You have to answer all these questions about like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice money. Like there's so many sacrifices that come on the backside of that, where I think that your calling actually becomes at some points more of a burden than it is a blessing. Mm-hmm. Granted, it's always some of both, but I think that the passion is what carries that throughout those bad chapters, because when you've got like, when you're living in like, you know, in the 503 boys spot, when you're not making any money, when you've got your parents being like, bro, I don't know, and all that kind of stuff, like it's really difficult at that time to be like, yeah, but I love it.
Right.
Because those other things is like, yes, that is true. But when like, when you don't have money to do the things that you want to do, when like there's like the world really, I feel like tests you at that point. Yeah. And so I'm curious what that phase of your life looked like as the world starts to test you and be like, you sure you love it that much, dude?
Right.
You sure you don't want to go back to having a good job, a good community, a good whatever? Like, what does that chapter look like? Yeah.
I would say what I learned is in that field, and like you can ask any intern in the country right now, like, what does it take to be, because everybody, I would say not everybody, but like I would say my goal, along with most other people interning or GAing at the time, is to be a head strength coach at a big school, or at least a school that has the resources that you want to be able to like provide the best training environment for your athletes. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that work for free. And there's like, it's almost like this unwritten thing is like, until you've been an unpaid intern for a certain amount of time, like you don't deserve to be in this pool of people. Right. And going to like conferences and like strength and conditioning conferences, CSCCA, the NSCA, you go to all these, my brother like makes so much fun of me when I tell him what it's like there. Yeah. But it's like you're walking around and everybody's got the polo on. It's got their school that they coach at. Yeah. And during that time, like you would do anything to be a part of that staff, to just be a part of that community and that environment. And I think like that was maybe a driver for me. It's like, no, I got to put in the work. I don't have enough experience to call myself worthy of coaching at that level. Yeah. So like, this is what I'm going to do. And just coaching in general, like when I was at West Georgia as a GA, I was put in charge of, you know, like several teams, and you help football and you're coaching all day long. Mm-hmm. And it's like you're gaining experience for that. But I think it's almost like a rite of passage. Okay. And there's a lot of people that quit along the way for sure. And I can understand that, you know, how it would happen. But to me, it was just like, no, this is what has to happen in order for me to get where I want to be. So I'm willing to do it.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what happens after? So you take this internship, or you go back to grad school. Yeah. What's kind of like the progression from there? Yeah. So I get my master's in biology. So they don't have they do now, but they didn't have like exercise science or kinesiology. So I'm a biology major again. Dang. I'm there for like a year and a half. Yeah. It was actually really cool. We did like some prescribed burning and like fire ecology classes, and I just loved it. Yeah, yeah. So I got to do like the outdoor side and the strength and conditioning side. Yeah. And then I started volunteering at this place called Hammersmith with a guy named Trip Smith, who I'm still really good friends with. And through him, he knew a assistant strength and conditioning coach at Oregon. And that guy reached out to Trip, and he was like, hey, do you have anybody who'd want to intern? And I'm like, dude, I would love, I've always wanted to see Oregon. Yeah. Like, you know, like, let's go. And Oregon's one of like the most prolific strength and conditioning programs in the US too. Like when we talk about the polo that you're wearing at the conference, that's not a bad one to be rocking.
Yeah. If you're a part of the Ducks, like that's pretty cool. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So now I'm coming, I get done with grad school, drive across the country to Eugene. Okay. And I'm 29, almost 30 at this point. And I step into our first day. So my first 2 weeks, I lived on the floor with this guy named Shaq, who's a strength coach at TCU now. Okay. And my apartment wasn't ready. So he was like, dude, you can stay in my room. So literally it was like this is like a little mat on the like base of his bed, at the foot of his bed. And I'm sleeping for like 2 weeks. And dude, I'm so like, I'll never forget that. Cause he would just be up there chilling, talking on the phone. And I would just be like at the foot of his bed.
Just staring at the ceiling going like, what
what am I doing again?
Yeah.
But I just remember the first day walking into Oregon and we go into the head strength coach's office, and it's me and 13 other interns. And they're all like fresh out of college.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm in this room and I'm like, what are you doing? And the first month, honestly, was kind of hell as far as like, just, it was a new environment. There's new standards, there's new expectations. And also like looking back, I kind of see what was going on. It's like you're weeding out the people that aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
And like I said before, it's like, if you knew what it took to get to a certain level, then you would kind of hold on for dear life and like really like just hunker down.
Yeah.
And for someone who was about to be 30 years old to listen to honestly guys that weren't that much older than me have the job that like I really want, and kind of like just the separation of our responsibilities versus their responsibilities on a daily basis, not getting paid.
Yeah.
There was mornings where I would wake up with like a pit in my stomach being like, dude, do you really want to be here? Like, is this really what you want to do? And is this going to pay off? That's when probably I would say was the hardest for me to like see the end.
Yeah.
You know? And then slowly 13 turned into 10, turned into 6, turned into like 4 or 5 of us, like 4 guys and 1 female. And almost every one of them right this second is a strength coach at a Power 5 school.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you, in those moments where you're sitting there and like you're having all the questions as you're like staring at the ceiling, sleeping on your buddy's floor.
Yeah.
And you're 30, how do you manage your ego at that point, going like, bro, you're listening to somebody who's barely older than you, who has the dream life that you want, and like all of those things.
Oh yeah.
How do you manage the things that go through your head at that point where it's like, it's got to be easy to let those demons creep in? I mean, clearly out of the 13 people that started, a lot of those other people's, they did. Yeah.
I would say, like, once again, like I would say what saved me was the other interns that were in it as well. The other interns that weren't leaving, like no matter what. And you just knew like that was your core group.
Yeah.
That's who you're going to stick with. And like, you're going to go through rough times together. You're going to get yelled at. You're going to get praised. You're going to go through this emotional roller coaster of what is college football and everything behind the scenes that goes along with that, whether that's the right way to go about it or not. And like, you were in it with these people, and it was like, that was your outlet. So like, we all trained together, or we would all get there at the same time. We would all, when we had an off day, we would go, like we had a weekend one time where we just like piled in the car and went to the Redwoods.
Nice.
And spent the whole weekend in the Redwoods. We just wanted to see them. And I would say like that was for me what kind of kept me. And I'm still super close with the people that I interned with.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's that whole like iron sharpens iron thing. Sounds like that's like very much what was going on.
Oh,
there.
no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Like you go through tough times together. And I mean, we've got some stories, and not like we had to do this, but like we're almost like committed so much that we're like, all right, we're not making, and we ended up getting like a paid position, like paid internships or whatever to kind of get us along. But like we would go and take the recycled bottles that the players, like the Gatorade bottles that they would like finish and throw away. And instead of just like leaving them in the trash, we would gather them all up and we would take them to the recycling place for 10 cents a piece. And they would use that money, and we'd all go out to eat at this place called BJ's and buy these big old Pazooka cookies. Yeah. And we would have a night, and we would just like there'd be things like that we didn't necessarily have to do.
Yeah.
Like I had money and savings and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like that right there was something that I'll never forget. And it came one time, we tried to see how cold our house would get before we would actually turn the heat on. It was like me, my buddy Ben, my buddy Jeremiah, and it got down to like 50 degrees. We're just in the living room with like hoodies on, and it was like
thugging it out.
Yeah, just grinding. It was just like a part of it. And those stories, man, like they will last forever. Like you just have them.
Yeah.
Those times you have with the people that you go through like rough times with, and then too, like really good times with. I mean, running out of the tunnel in front of however many thousand people in Autzen Stadium as an intern is really cool.
Yeah.
You know, getting to like put that on, and there's there's wins along the way that keep you going, but there's also like in the hard times, you just gravitate towards those people that are there for you.
Right.
You know,
I want to talk about how to like embrace those wins and allow them to actually carry you through that experience. But I really want, like, I played college football, so I've seen how rough it is for GAs. One of my buddies actually lived on our couch for a handful of months in season while he was GAing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people who haven't been a college athlete really understand how much of a grind that is. So like, help me paint the picture of what that looked like when you're interning in Oregon from like that process that weeded you guys out to like where you end up kind of towards the end of this thing.
Yeah. You would have, there was no job that you wouldn't maybe be assigned to do.
Okay.
So like there was nothing that was out of your job description as an intern. If you got a call from one of the coaches and was like, hey, I need you to be in the lobby at 2:00 in the morning with Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches to give to the guys when they get off the bus, you're going. Or if it's snowing and you got to hand deliver burgers across the city of Eugene, that's what you're doing. Or like we were during the bowl game, we were in San Francisco for the Red Box Bowl, and me and I think one other intern went, and our job was to go and fill up. We had like this big cart, like big buggy, basically, full of ice. And our job was to go to every room and see if any of the players wanted us to make an ice bath in their bath. And it's like, you're going, you know, I don't know what time it was, but like we had that. We were on patrol one time, like literally standing at the front door, like as security guards. Like we'd have, you know, not like we're going to do anything,
right.
You know, but it's like, there was nothing that was out of the question for you to possibly do. You get there early, you set up for the lift. We ended up being in charge of like the developmental group. So like we had freshmen and sophomores that were either redshirting or maybe they're not getting a ton of playing time. You would change the volume of their training based on, you know, where they're at, especially in practice and like getting reps.
Yeah.
So if they weren't getting a certain amount of reps, like you would either have extra work on the field or extra work in the weight room. And it was cool because like that was kind of like they gave us responsibility over that group and we took ownership over that group.
Right.
So like we would coach the developmental guys before or after the main squad would come in. You would clean up after every single lift, but then you'd go eat lunch and then you'd train with the interns, but then you'd possibly be there past like meetings to train either guys that couldn't make the lift for school reasons. And then you would always like be in charge of like setting up for the following day and just knowing the schedule throughout.
Yeah.
But I would say just like overall, man, like you're there a ton. I don't want to know how many hours we were there, you know? And that's not exclusive to the interns too, is like coaches, like college football, athletics in general is a beast.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. It's such a fun job, but you better love it. And if there are other things that you love a little bit more or that you want to be interested in, like that's probably not the space you want to operate in. But if that's what you love and that's where you want to be, man, it's the coolest job.
Yeah.
You know, for sure.
So you were talking about some of the wins that you had running out in front of the stadium, going to the Redwoods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
During this time where you're like almost exclusively at the facility, you're almost like probably exclusively broke and like doing like going through the shit with all the fellas. Like, I think that sometimes those wins can be easy to miss if you're not like looking out for them, right? It's like I think if you've got a lid on top of your cup during some of those moments and you're focused on like how much you're at the facility and how much of a grind it is and how bad it sucks and all of that, it's like if your brain is tuned to that and the lid's on your cup, running out in front of all those people is just going to be like, well, I had to go to work again today.
Right.
Yeah. So how did you approach those wins in a way where it allowed you to like continue doing the thing that you were doing?
I think for me, it was really just wanting to be in a spot where like I wanted to be a leader and I wanted the responsibility of that. And a lot of the times, I mean, like you said, it's easy to miss the wins. Like a lot of times you wouldn't realize they were wins until you look back at like your camera roll and you're like, man, that was actually really fun. Or like, yeah, it was a long day, but like eating pizza with the guys at the end of the day, like that was so sick or so, you know? And I think like having the ability to see those wins and almost visualize yourself as not an intern. Like, dude, I'm trying to outcoach the main guy. You know, I'm trying to outcoach the full-time guys. And when I'm trying to be not only like the best intern, but like I'm trying to put myself in a position, you could call it like visualization or whatever, but like put yourself in a position where like if you were paid and you were full-time, would the player like respond to you as if that was your job and you're not an intern? It's like for me, especially like being a bit older, is like I took that, like I'm already behind. I'm already behind the curve. I'm already like older than all these guys. Like there's people with the jobs that I want that are, you know, years younger than me. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was like, you can take those wins, but for the most part, man, it's like, I'm trying to already be who I'm wanting to be. But then there's you're still an intern. Yeah. You know, like you got those, you know,
the constant ego checks of
for sure. Oh, no ego. You can't have an ego.
Yeah.
No doubt. But you got to be confident.
Right.
And you got to be willing to put yourself in a position to fail. And that's what I would say is probably a separator for people who end up being interns longer than others. Or like, and I'm not just saying college, this is anything. People that are in positions they don't want to be in longer than others is like, you have to be willing to put yourself out there and like get embarrassed or not have the answer to the question or, you know, whatever, but be willing to put yourself out there, because if you do it well, then like your confidence is just going to like be, you know, greater the next time you step up and have that opportunity again.
For sure.
So not being afraid to, I don't know, it's really easy to want to just like step back.
Yeah.
And I think for me, even as an athlete growing up, I would look at certain schools as almost, and I would tell this to any kid who's in high school, because I've coached, you know, several levels of collegiate athletics, and you almost like talk yourself out of an opportunity before you really even see the competition around you. So it's like at Oregon, you can look at that logo and be like, oh man, like this is it. I can't mess it up. Like I've got to be perfect. Yeah. And it's almost like, no, man, when you get there, you realize like everybody's just a human. Yeah. Everybody's going to mess up. But that like, don't talk yourself out of an opportunity that you haven't even given yourself a shot to have.
Right.
You know, and even as an athlete, I would say like there were schools where I would literally just be like, there's no way you're going there. No way. You can't do it. Mm-hmm. And now as a coach, I see walk-ons as a freshman become like true starters and draft picks as juniors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, why in the world would you have that kind of self-talk as a freshman? You don't even know yet.
Right.
You know, I talked to a coach yesterday and he said, how you feel is a lie. And it's almost like you don't ask yourself how you feel when you first wake up, because you feel horrible when you first wake up. You get out of bed. It's like the least effective time to ask yourself how you feel. Get a shower, drink your coffee, go warm up, and then ask yourself how you feel. So as an athlete or a coach, like don't count yourself out until you actually go through the process to like get in that position and then see where you're at.
Right.
You know,
I feel like that. Have you expanded that idea of like, don't ask yourself how you feel? Is that something that applies like fairly universally when it comes to even like coaching, career, life, all of that kind of stuff? Because you've got, not only are you like playing this in this arena of training now, not to jump too far ahead, but like you're also a dad. You've also got a business that you're building and all of that kind of stuff. So is that a lesson that has like continued to pay dividends since you learned that?
I think especially becoming a dad, for sure. Yeah. It's like, if you ask yourself, there's days, and it is, being a dad is like the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, me and my wife are obsessed with our son. And like, but there are days where if you ask yourself, how you doing, in the wrong, either too early or like in the wrong situation, you will like put yourself in a hole mentally.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes there's moments like just around the corner that like would bring you up to a completely different mindset.
Right.
And I would say, yeah, like as a dad, for sure, like you have to talk about like seeing the wins early on when you're not getting any sleep and stuff like that, for sure. But it's all, honestly, like the whole, like how you feel is a lie is something that's very new to me. That I just literally learned like a few weeks ago when I went to this event. I went to that Winter Strong event in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And that's what one of the coaches said. And like, it was just a common theme.
Mm-hmm.
How you feel is a lie. It's like, don't, like, and there's so much
that
we can expand on that.
For sure.
But I would say, yeah, man, it's like you gotta do the work, and there's things in between your emotions that will get you where you want to be.
Right.
But ultimately, yeah, I would say, yeah, I can't paint a big picture of that just yet. And I can't like speak on it.
Still marinating.
Where I'm like, where I'm like, man, this is going to be a theme for me.
Yeah.
But it is something that like lately I've been super interested in, just like, you're like, you know what? No, that's, your emotions will lie to you.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah. Where does this fit in?
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? We're taking a quick pause from the show to ask one small favor. When we were looking at the stats of the show, we noticed that most of the people that listen consistently actually aren't subscribed to the show yet. So the one ask that we have today is if you could take 10 seconds and whatever platform you're listening on right now, head over to our page and hit the subscribe button, and it would be a huge help for us. Growing our subscribers helps us bring on more awesome guests, and it really helps us build a community of people like you that we're trying to foster with this thing. So that's the one ask that we have. Please go hit that subscribe button, and let's get back to the show. There's one story that we were talking about when we got together a couple of weeks ago that I think like really paints the picture before we move past like the phase of you training in Oregon, that I think like really paints the picture of like probably why everybody who lasted is at a Power 5 school like coaching right now.
Yeah.
I want to hear again the story about like having to clean up the rice in the weight room.
Yeah. And this will be
the
funny.
coolest. Yeah.
So like the head guy, Coach Feld, was who I worked for. And like there was the interns, if they listen to this, will laugh. Because it's a story that just like keeps popping up, no matter how many times, like how many years go by, like it's just like a constant. So there was a day where it was me and the other interns that had lasted up to that point. We're probably, I don't remember what time of year it was. We were probably in season.
Yeah.
And we had done grip work with the skill guys, specifically like the wide receivers, and done like rice buckets.
Yeah.
And they were doing their grip work, and some rice got on the floor. And like Oregon's weight room is, they're building a new one now, but it was like all hardwood floors, and it's supposed to basically like dampen noise, dampen impact. It's sick.
Yeah.
But there's these creases in between some of the wood, between like the wood on the door, and some rice got in there. And Coach Feld comes by and he was like, "You guys gonna clean this up?" We're like, yeah, I got it. So we're like in the intern's office or whatever, go out, clean it up, come back. And apparently we missed some. And this is one of the things I really respect about Coach Feld, is that like he literally, there's something in him that like, if he sets a standard and it's not met, he can't let it go. Like cannot let it go. It probably comes from, like he worked at Alabama, like Saban, it probably comes from something like that. And he came back and he saw there was a couple more like pieces of rice, and dude lit into us, and was like, when people were coming in the weight room talking to other coaches, like, I need new interns, blah, 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 all this stuff. And we're sitting there like, golly, we did it. And, and then he comes to me later and he was like, Justin, he was out in the weight room, and he was like, Justin, do you understand why I did what I did, and why I said what I said? And I was like, I understand it. I know what you were trying to do, but like, I don't agree with how you went about it. And like the other intern, I was like, the other interns and myself would like go to war for you. And he looked at me and he was like, I know that was hard for you to say because I'm your boss. I don't agree with you, but, and then like we talked about it. But from that moment, we had I would say like our relationship changed a bit.
Right.
Where like maybe it was, I know why I don't disagree with what he was doing, and that we missed it like
right.
100%.
Yeah.
But from that point, it was almost like, because I said something that probably wasn't the most popular thing to say in the moment, he trusted me more. And it's like our relationship changed a bit, and it like morphed into something where he almost had a bit more respect for me, even though like in that moment, like we were on two different pages.
Right.
And I think it was a moment for me where it's like, it's okay to be in trouble, or it's okay to disagree with someone, as long as you know why you're disagreeing.
Right.
And, man, for me, that was like I don't know if it was like a turning point, but like, I'll never forget that. And it's okay to like stand up to someone if like truly you're on two separate pages. And it's also okay to be on two separate pages.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that I've learned from guys like him, and other coaches that I've worked for that I will take with me forever. And then there's certain things that like he and I will probably never agree on, or like other coaches that I've worked with will probably never agree on. And it's fine, because if there was one way to do it, then everybody do it the same way, you know? But for me, that was just like a story that ended up like lasting. Like he brought it up to me last time I saw him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It seems like as far as turning points go, I mean, to have the respect to go from, you know, being an intern with like a lot of people drop off, a lot of people don't make it, whatever, to having that respect and then continuing to places where you end up at other D1 programs and that kind of thing. I mean, to me, it seems like as far as turning points go, I couldn't think of a bigger one.
Yeah.
Right. So how do things progress like after that moment as you like finish out with Oregon and then kind of like continue down this route?
Yeah. So I applied for like 97 jobs.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I was like every single day, me and especially my buddy Ben, who's at Penn State now, was just applying for jobs, every job that came through, and like would rarely get a response. Finally got a email from the head strength coach at Tulane, Coach Spear, who I ended up working with for a few years. And he messaged me back and was like, "Hey, are you going to be at this conference?" I was like, "Yeah." All he said was, "Find me on Wednesday." And I'm like, "Okay." And
were you planning on going to the conference?
I was planning on going to the conference. But at this point, dude, I'm bringing like a suit, and like, this is my first job, like real job.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this is going to be like an interview. Long story short, I end up meeting him at this event, and he's like, "You drink beer?" And I was like, I'll drink a beer. So we end up sitting at the bar and just talking for like an hour and a half, and had like a couple Coors Lights. And then he said the next day, he was like, "I want you to meet my staff." And so the next day I went and met his staff, and in that, like all the things that I planned on, talk about like a conversation change in the course of your life, all the things that I planned on showing him, like I brought this binder with like a program and like idea, like my principles and my philosophy and all this stuff. And all he wanted to know is if he could hang out with me. He knew my experience. He had already like looked at that. He was like, "Can I hang out with this guy? Like, can I just, stand to have a conversation with him?" And I met him, and then I met the staff the next day, and he told me, he was like, "When I get back, I'm going to offer you this job." So then that was almost a year of me being at Oregon. And I met my now wife 2 weeks before that moment.
So you were at Oregon.
At Oregon.
Meet your wife.
Meet my wife. 2 weeks later, I got offered a job in New Orleans. Yeah.
What did that feel like going from like, I mean, because at this point you have been through so many phases of like those staring at the ceiling moments where it's just like a grind. Mm-hmm. So what does it feel like meeting the girl, landing the job offer? Like, does it start to feel like the lights at the end of the tunnel, or what is that chapter like?
It was more like confusion, because I remember calling my brother and be like, "Dude, I just got offered a job at Tulane." And my brother was probably one of the ones that was like the most worried about me financially.
Yeah.
He would always like joking with me, like asking me if I needed money. I'm like, "Dude, shut up. Like, I'm never going to take your money." But he was like so fired up. And my brother's probably like my biggest hype guy, and like just wants me, has always like been that for me. It was like so fired up for me. And then I said, "But I just met this girl and I really like her." And he was like, "Dude," and Lex knows this. He was like, "Dude, there's going to be a ton of girls in New Orleans. Like, you just got to go take this job." And I was like, "No, this one's different," So for me, it was like this high of highs, but then also worrying that like, this is something special and I was leaving it.
Yeah.
And I ended up telling Lex, and we did like this workout in Autzen, and I told her, and she like tackled me. She's like, "I'm so excited for you. Like, when can I come visit?" So then I was like, "All right, we're good. Like, let's go." So, and she did, she came, I got the job in like May, and she came to New Orleans in July, I think.
Okay.
And we spent like 4th of July together. And then, at Tulane, I was the assistant for football. And then I was in charge of track and field, all the track and field teams, and then sailing. We had a sailing team.
Wow.
Called them the Armada.
That's cool.
And they were fun for sure. They didn't necessarily like have the most training experience,
right?
But like ended up being the biggest meatheads of all, and just loved to train. 6 a.m. They probably were partying the night before, but like would show up and just get after it.
I love that.
And then ended up working Worked for Coach Spear for a bit, and then ended up working with Coach Hester, who passed away last year, and just learned a ton from those guys.
I'm really curious about the moment that you meet your wife and like right before you make this big move.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is this idea of like just loving somebody for exactly where they're at and not where they could go or what their potential is.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's so cool that she meets you during the time, like when you're interning, you put out 97, 97 applications and all this stuff. But like at that point, like a GA is not a sexy position to be. Like you're not impressing nobody.
Yeah.
But I think that it's so cool that like to be able to find somebody who is like, I love you for where you're at right now. And regardless of what you're going to accomplish or not, like you got the thing that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So what did that like do for you in terms of like, dang, she's cool with me just being like a GA, being an intern, like doing all this kind of stuff, into like taking that into going like to Tulane and like actually getting into your career field?
Yeah. Yeah. She met me when I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
So she met me when I was getting paid a little bit, but it was more so, I guess the people that we were. And for us, man, that was huge for me. And I look back now and I'm like, I look at the situation and I'm like, that probably wasn't the best, like, logistical decision for her.
Right.
To start dating a 30-year-old who's not making really any money, who doesn't really know where he's going. Right. But I was willing to go anywhere for a job, and for her, like we started hanging out and I fell so fast for her. And the moment I found out that I got a job at Tulane, I think I had 14 days before I had to leave. Mm-hmm. And I think for the next 14 days, we saw each other every single day. And it was like, there was one day she literally came on my porch, brought sushi, ate for 30 minutes, and then left. But it was like every single day we did something. Yeah. We went to a Thomas Rhett concert in Seattle. We like spent as much time together as we could. And I was like, man, I'm falling for this girl. And it was like that foundation. And I mean, I believe in God's timing, but I mean, there was enough time and there's enough experiences within that short window that like, man, I was willing to give it my all and it fail versus being like, you know what, it'd be way easier just to like move on and just go to New Orleans. I was like, if this fails, it is not going to be for lack of me trying. Wow. Is basically how I looked into it. Yeah. And I was probably more scared than I've ever been in my life as far as like losing someone, because it just felt so vulnerable. Yeah. It's like, man, there's like a lot to lose here. And then I'm going away. Like, what if she doesn't want to do long distance? And we ended up doing long distance for a long time. Yeah. This is worth mentioning, but like we pushed our wedding back a year. This is you could do a whole podcast on this, but her dad, he owned a plane. He did like, has a construction business, but would go up and down the West Coast, him and his brother looking for properties. And, he ended up crashing his own plane, was in a coma for like 3 months and survived his own plane crash. And then we pushed our wedding back a year and he walked her down the aisle a year later. Yeah. So many like crazy stories like that, just along the way of how we were able to like stay super close and like stay connected. But man, we did long distance for almost 3 years. Wow. Yeah. Because I went to Tulane 2019 and then we ended up getting married July of 22. Wow. Yeah.
What was it like having somebody in your corner that knew you from the time where you didn't have a job, you didn't have anything like that? What was it like having her in your corner as you like start to build this career and like start to get into the thing that you've been working for?
Yeah. I think she works in college athletics as well. She's works at the U of O at Oregon and like development. Okay. So she knows, and she works like football signing day and does a ton of stuff for the athletic side, both men and women's now. And she kind of knows that space and knows what it is like to be an intern in a GA and just like the passion you have to have for it. Yeah. And for her to support me and like really just be there with me through all that, and then willing to do the distance thing while I have this crazy job and while the time zones suck. Yeah. And we're spending a ton of time on FaceTime and we're both making it work, man, it was huge. It was like, you know, it got me through a lot, you know, and in a job that's, you know, it's such a fun job, but it is a ton of time. Yeah. And you don't have a ton of time. But when we could see each other, we spent a ton on plane tickets.
I bet, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of crazy.
I think that there's a misconception so many times that you have to build a career, you have to build a life, and you have to like become impressive.
Yeah.
Before you find your person.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you have to have your money figured out. You have to be the absolute maxed out version of you before you find that person.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing so many stories that I look up to of people finding each other when it's like at the very core, it's like the only thing I have to offer you right now is that I'm me.
It's this.
That, right. You're looking at it, dude, the whole package right here.
Yeah.
And more and more, I find that to be so aspirational when like that's the foundation that something's built on.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how you look at the idea of building with somebody as you're going throughout your career, since that's kind of like the story that you've had.
Yeah.
And how you would reflect on having somebody along with you through that building phase and through that ride.
Yeah. Dude, it's awesome growing together. It's like so cool to celebrate wins along the way versus like having this checklist of things that they need to have in order for you to even give them a chance. And like for me, like I would have not had a chance with Lex. Absolutely not. I mean, she had a great job. I had, you know, nothing as far as that goes. And like for you to be able to, one, like you're saying, man, like you date the person and you date it with the intention of finding out if you can marry that person. And like the biggest thing, like, dude, a lot of marriage is just hanging out and like sitting around with that person. And like, she is my best friend. And like, we became friends super, super early. And like, that was a big foundation of our relationship. And I would say like all the other stuff. And I told you, like, I didn't care about the money. Like, that wasn't a driver for me. Her and I both want to be successful and both have goals. She's a very like goal-driven person, just like I am. And we have aspirations now, but now it's really fun to do it together.
Yeah.
You know, and in the beginning, it wasn't like that. I mean, yeah, she was willing to meet me where I was. And dude, our first date, I knew she was younger. She's like 7.5 years younger than I am. Okay. And our first date, I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I think I'm quite a bit older than you are. And took her on a hike. And she was like, yeah, I kind of thought that you were. Like, how old are you? I was like, I'm about to be 30. And once again, it was like, just, this is me. Like, this is everything about me. This is what I'm trying to do. This is the things I like. This is who. Our faith is a huge part of it. Like, that was one of the things that like I knew from the get-go. I'm a Christian. She's a Christian. When it comes down to it, like the decisions you make as a couple, if it's filtered through that and like your faith, is going to be a lot better. Yeah. You know, that was like a non-negotiable for both of us. So like once that, you know, was checked, and then you start to get to know like who she is, and you're like, man, I love hanging out with this person. And like the biggest thing for me is like what was different is like the moment she left, I couldn't wait to see her again and like missed her. And like, man, if that's how I'm feeling, like I could see a life with her like really early. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, before you have all these things, especially financially and things like that, yes, it's important 100%. Mm-hmm. And like having money makes things easier in some ways. And if you're both responsible with your money and you both have like similar I guess beliefs about how you use it. Yeah. It's huge. But the biggest thing is, can you stand to be around them for a really long time? Can you work through things? Can you communicate? Can you troubleshoot? Like, man, that's huge.
That's the coolest.
Yeah. Yeah. So man, I look back and dude, we had so much fun. And when she would come to New Orleans, we would go fishing off my paddleboard. She would sit on the front of my paddleboard. I would like sit on the cooler, paddle it around, gators everywhere. People thought we were nuts.
You are nuts for that. It's fucking crazy. Yeah. You're just a floating snack.
For sure. Yeah. They would always, I was kind of naive because they would always just swim off and be like, oh, they don't care. But looking back, like the locals were like, dude, you're crazy. And she would be on the front of it and we would catch the mess out of some redfish and go home, cook them on this little grill that I had won for like a bowl game prize at Tulane. Had this tiny TV that, this tiny apartment. Man, it's like those times, that's like the foundation of our marriage. And like the pictures that we have, we look back now And like, even especially like before having Rory and looking back, being like, man, we had so much fun. And like just going through that with her, dude, it's the best, man. Yeah. I just don't believe that. Yeah. You have things that you want them to value and to have, but man, like first just get to know them as a person, you know?
That's so huge, dude.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So before we get out of like the college coaching career, I want to spend a little bit about the Bible study that you started in Tulane.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the things that I love about your story is it seems like so many times there's like a thing behind the thing, right? It's like you're not just learning how to be a great coach. You're not just building a CrossFit gym. You're like falling in love with coaching athletics. And like, it seems like you've got a really good knack for finding not only like what's the skill or the lesson that I'm supposed to be learning here at face value, but also like what's the life thing that I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, tell me about how the Bible study group and like some of those other things kind of weaved into your experience once you're actually in this paid coaching position.
Yeah. This was like so I was at Tulane for 3 years. This was probably like 2 years into it. And one of my friends, her name's Hannah. She's an academic advisor at Tulane. Now she has a different role, but she was like very strong in her faith. We went to the same church, and she was like, Justin, I think we should start a Bible study with these guys. And I'm like, I've never led one. I've been a part of them, but she was like, I think you need to lead it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm qualified for that. And ended up starting one anyway. Me and her kind of would like go back and forth on leading it. And in the beginning we would meet, and there was like four or five guys on the team. And it just started, she would cook and I would bring the message, or vice versa. And then Coach Fritz, the head football coach, started hearing about it. So he started paying for the food.
Nice.
And he was like, this is good. Like I'm enjoying this side of things. And during, especially like camp, you're there the entire time. It's like having a space to just go and not do football things is huge. So once a week we would have a Bible study, and I would really just, whether we're like going through a topic or we're going through a book, we would just read the Bible, speak, read scripture, talk about, the implications of it. And then we would just chat. And it got to where it went from like 4 or 5 dudes to like, when I left, there was probably 30 or 40 to now you look and there's like multiple teams in this Bible study. I don't know how many athletes there are, but in the city of New Orleans, where I would say like the church is kind of the last thing you think of when you think about New Orleans.
For sure.
And to have that culture be a part of athletics, dude, it was huge. And it brought you closer to the players. It brought you, because I wasn't like the strength coach Justin at that point.
Right.
I was just like the Christ follower.
Right.
And this is who I am as a man. And these are the things I believe as a dude.
Right.
And like, these are the things that like, I feel like through my experiences, I can share with you as we're going through scripture that literally talks about how Jesus lived and like, how we should approach life.
Right.
And man, that was probably one of my favorite things about my time at Tulane. It's just crazy because it has nothing to do with the job, nothing to do with when I started there, anything like that. And once again, it's like community. It's like community is so, so huge. And that was a massive part of why the community at Tulane, especially like being far from Lex and doing that whole thing. And like, it was huge.
Did seeing that thing grow and like having that reinforcement of going from like 4 guys to, I mean, in season, having 40 dudes from the football team there. Yeah. It's like a quarter to a half of or like, a third to a half of the team, Did that reinforce and like, did that change how you approach coaching and how you approach like the relationship with your athletes essentially from there? Yeah,
because football is only going to last so long. And then I would have conversations a lot with the guys in or out of that group and be like, man, what are you thinking after football's over? And a lot of them, and I would say this is probably true today, and this is good in some ways. Sometimes it's good not to have a plan B. Right. Because then you don't go all in on plan A. But like a lot of guys would be like, man, I have no idea. I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about that. And to be able to talk about, and it was almost a breath of fresh air for them. Like we would have football players come into our office and one of the guys that I work with now, like he would come in there and we would talk about stocks, and he'd be like, what you guys investing in? And like that was the conversation that had nothing to do with anything else. And you just get close.
Mm-hmm.
You just realize that this is only like life itself is like a vapor, but like football for most athletes is not a very long portion of a huge portion of their life. And they're going to spend the majority of their portion doing other things. And like your faith is huge, and like who you are as a man is important. And that's what's going to like take you, into the next chapter and the biggest chapter.
For sure.
So I think just being able to speak life and be a part of that.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm learned from them too. Like I learned from their experiences and like cry with them.
Yeah.
And, go through emotional stuff with them. And then you better believe like, man, you just get tight, get super, super tight.
Yeah. There were a couple of my coaches that, I played 4 years of college ball, and I did not enjoy most of it, to be completely honest. I was like, it was a big life goal of mine to graduate college without student debt.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of times where like that was the thing that got me through continuing to play. And there's obviously too, you get close with your guys, you get close with like the community and all that kind of stuff. And that plays a huge role too. But there were a handful of my coaches, and my strength coach was one of them, that just being able to be around them for an hour and a half every day, and to know that I could like pop into their office and bullshit and just like have that relationship outside of football. I think that it is so valuable, and it allows you to like continue through the thing that's really difficult.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of life lessons that are baked on being able to see something like that through too. But I think that's one of like the things behind the things when it comes to good coaches is the ripple effect that you have when you've got 100+ guys every season that come in and out. Like you guys legit change lives. And, some of my coaches had some of the biggest impacts in my life, and are probably the reason why I like stuck that thing through.
Sure.
So yeah, it's what a rewarding thing that is so far outside of the stats and the new numbers and like the performance and all that kind of stuff.
And I think you don't realize that until after the fact sometimes. And then too, when you leave, like, dude, it's so sad leaving. Like when I left Tulane.
What'd that look like for you?
Man, it was super sad. It was hard. And I knew, like me and Lex, we were going to move to Billings. We were going to get married. And then I had an opportunity to coach in Billings, and I was excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
But like leaving that environment, those emotions don't come until the very end. And they don't come until you're literally saying bye to a dude that you've coached for years now. And you don't know if you're going to like see him again, or, you might, but chances are, they're going to go do their own thing. You just hope that you made the impact that you would hope you would make. And then a lot of times you don't realize the impact until they look at you and be like, man, coach, you were huge for me in this area. And I know there's so many coaches out there with stories like that.
Yeah.
But I think that ends up being the part that when I look back at, I want to coach as long as I can coach. But I think when I look back at the end of my life and look at that part of it and the career part of it and the coaching part, it's not the sport. It's not the training. Although training brings people closer. I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the life stuff and just being there for them as a person that I'm going to really cherish and hold on to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something that I started doing when I was in high school. And I don't know why I started doing it, but whenever I would have a big move that was about to happen, or like a big chapter ending, the people who made like the biggest impacts for me, I would write them a letter and like deliver it as kind of like part of a goodbye.
Yeah.
And I wrote a handful to my college coaches and, like college professors and stuff like that. And I had one of my coaches come up to me. It must have been like 5 years after I graduated, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
We were at one of my buddy's weddings, and he comes up to me and he was like, dude, I coached for 15 years. One person's done that. And it was you. He was like, coaching high school football is not something that you do for, like the career benefits and this and that. But he was like, you have no idea how much that kind of thing means to somebody who's in it just like for the love of the game.
Yeah.
And it was such a reinforcing thing to me, because I thought about the moments that people have gone out of their way to say that I made any kind of impact on them. And like, regardless of how you're doing, like financially or whatever else in life, I think that there's more fuel that comes in that kind of feedback than literally anything else in the world, dude.
Yeah.
And so that was like, it was so reinforcing to me to be like, I don't really care if this isn't a normal thing to write people letters.
Yeah.
I don't really care if it's like whatever that is, because if I can know that I was able, like, for myself to express to somebody like, dude, you made such a big impact on me. And like, regardless of if we see each other again or however this relationship changes, like, you got to know how much you mean to me.
Yeah.
I think that's really where it came from, was like that selfish thing where it's like, I need to know that, you know,
Yeah.
And like seeing the response to that is it was so rewarding for me that it's never something that I won't do at this point.
Yeah.
And, it's really cool to hear from your side of that. It's like, that's the stuff that you remember.
For sure. I think people don't tell each other how much they mean to them often enough. 100%. And like, I guarantee you, he's going to keep that letter forever, and it's going to, it's going to live on. And I actually talked to Austin about this today. And I was like, man, what if you just said put on your calendar, you're going to hype up one person every day. And like, you're going to send either a text, or you're going to comment on one of their socials, or you're going to send them a voice memo. And you said, every day I'm going to hype up one person that I think about, because we all think about people all day long,
all the time.
And they come in and out, and we just let it go in one ear and out the other. And it's like, what if you acted on that and said, you know what, no, when I think of that person, or I'm going to be like really intentional about that, like the difference it can make for their day.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I had a buddy who, was really good at that, and was like, dude, it would just be right next to you, and he'd just be like, bro, I just want you to know, like, man, I really love you. Like, you mean a ton to me. And like, I don't think like dudes do that probably enough,
Yeah. Ever.
Yeah. But it's like huge.
Yeah. I think it's huge. And it's also something where like, it's not a chore.
Mm-hmm.
Like after you do it,
It feels good.
It feels so good, man. And like, the way that I started putting that in practice at first is like, I think about people a lot when I'm driving. Mm-hmm. This is probably not the best advice in hindsight, but like every time that I'd be thinking about somebody, I was like, I'm going to send them a text regardless. I think I sent 2 on the way here today.
Yeah.
And just telling somebody like, hey, thinking about you, love you, hope you have a great day today. Man, it's so huge, because like how many times did you go to the office, wake up and be like, fuck, man, today's going to be one of those days. Mm-hmm. How many times did you need that text?
Yeah.
And I think that's like the kind of karma that, starting with something like that, but just like telling somebody you love them, telling somebody like, I see what you're doing, man. Like you're doing the thing, and you're making an impact.
Yeah.
I think that it's, when I think about how many times I've needed that text to like come through, or that voice note or whatever, it makes it so much easier and like so exciting to be like, man, if I get to do that for somebody today that I care about, what's a better thing that I can give to the world?
Right. Right. Yeah. There's people that fire you up about, and there's people too that like fire you up about life. And it's like spending time with those people, and just like having a conversation with that person who's willing to share, and who's willing to pour into you and ask about you, and like to tell you those things, man, it leaves you in a better place. It leaves you in a place where you believe in yourself. You have more confidence. You're more willing to do things that scare you. Yeah. To go for your goals. Like, man, it's just like you said, man. And it doesn't take that much effort, and it feels really good. It's innate. Mm-hmm. It's innate to like want to lift people up. Yeah. It's cool.
I think there's something that's a bit karmic about it too, where you start to see, like when you start to put more of that stuff out, I think more of it starts to come back. Mm-hmm. And it's not the point at all, right? Yeah. It's not the point to be, hyping people up. So it's like, oh, maybe someone will send me a text soon. But I think that just like the people who show up in your circle, and the things that start to happen for you when you start to show up for other people in that way, it's this weird sort of magic, dude, where it's like the world and God go, you're doing the right thing. Mm. Like, you're showing up for other people, and you're trying to make the world around you better. So like the world's going to get a little lighter around you too. Yeah. And I think like there's 2 people that I like think of in specific, and I just saw him at a gala last week. So that's like super fresh, but, Black Orchid has a handful of people, like they've somehow sourced these people who are just like the biggest rays of light of all time. And, there's 2 of them. One of them's name is Cassie, and the other one is Mercedes. But whether you're at Black Orchid or you just see them around in public, they've got this like magnetic thing about them that just makes you feel fired up about life.
Mm-hmm.
And their thing is like yoga and hyping people up and like being these like really awesome members of the community. But even just like being around them, there's like this osmosis that comes from that. That's like, it doesn't matter that my thing isn't yoga.
Right.
Being around you and watching how like you get this energy from like chasing your passion, showing up from other people and like making everybody else's day.
Yeah.
I leave being around those people and being like, how can I do my thing better?
Yeah.
How can I make this kind of impact?
Right.
And it doesn't have to be related to like their thing. Like I've got people who are yogis and musicians and business owners. Like that thing exists in so many different people, but it's the same thing. And I haven't been able to put like a label on it or whatever that is. But I had like 6 interactions that night with different people. And I was just like, man, if I could build a life that's just surrounded by these people and become one of them, like, there's something like addicting about it, man.
Right.
It's so cool. So shout out to Cassie and Mercedes. You guys are the coolest, but
no doubt.
I think that that's the coolest thing. And I think as far as life goals go, it's a hard one to put a number on because it doesn't exist, but like, that's one of the things that I want is to like have that impact on people. And I think that what you're saying is kind of a way to get there. For sure.
And it makes you just want to be like, why not?
Yeah.
You know, it makes it like whatever they're saying is like, you know what? You're right. We got this short time. Like we might as well go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it. You're a community.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So going from college athletics, you're talking about how there's a lot of guys that like kind of flash in the pan. It doesn't last forever and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How does your life change when you leave college athletics and come to Billings?
So me and my wife went on epic honeymoon in Bali. That was kind of our transition from like going from, so she was originally going to move to New Orleans and live in New Orleans. She wasn't going to be able to work remotely. But I was going to continue to be a strength coach. And then I got an opportunity to come work at a local gym here in Billings. And so we moved up here, love Montana so much. And on December of 2023, a former player at Tulane called me, or he texted me and was just like, yo, Justin. And I'm like, his name's Darnell. I was like, hey, Darnell, what's up? And he's like, dude, I want you to be my off-season trainer. And I'm like, dude, I live in Montana. Like, what are you asking me? And he's like, no, I want you to, you know, like, let's work together. And what's crazy is that I only coached him 1 year. His senior year was 2019. And he would come back every summer and he would train with me for like a couple weeks at a time. Okay. And never took it too super seriously. Like I would train with him most of the time. So just like write up workouts. It was, he was playing for the Chicago Bears at that point and would write workouts. It would make sense for where he was at in his training and like how much he had trained before and then what he was about to do, whether it's OTAs or camp or whatever. Yeah. And he told me one day, he was like, dude, I'm going to reach out to you one day. He's like, he actually said, he's like, you need your own spot. He's like, I'm going to reach out to you. We're going to work together one day. And I was like, all right, man, whatever. And literally that December asked me if I wanted to come train. So worked it out. So I went down to Houston and Coach Fritz, who I had worked for at Tulane, had gotten the Houston job. So we had access to the whole Houston facility.
That's sick.
Dude, it was crazy because it was like us, me, him, and then TP, who is Mooney's friend, would train there. And we have like 2 indoors, entire weight room. Like it was crazy. Yeah. And he just kept telling me, he was like, man, you know, I need you to think big picture. He's like, this is, cause I had a very short stint of time. I was thinking like, this was going to be like a certain week deal. And then I was headed back and ended up being, where he wanted me to be his full-time guy. And so now that's kind of where Wild Edge was born. And it's gone from training. Last year we trained. So that year we trained in Houston in the spring and then we came to Billings in the summer. Okay. And the cool part is like when he came to Billings, I was like, dude, I still work in Billings. You're going to have to come to me. Like I can't just leave again. Right. And so he came here and dude, we would train. We trained at the weight room at West High. Okay. We trained on the field at Rocky. Yeah. And then we would train on the grass field at St. Francis. Especially when we did our change of direction stuff, because I wanted to do some, I always like, I want to train on both. He's going to play on both. I want to train on both. So we would kind of like rotate around these facilities. Right. And ended up like on the weekends, I would take him hiking and take TP and then Key, who's a chef and his cousin, and we would go hiking, and we would go like, we took him to the Beartooth Pass, took him in this freezing cold lake. We went like to Phipps Park, and I was like, it was a Friday. We just got done lifting, went to Phipps, and I was like, dude, the only goal is to get up to the top of that as fast as you can. And I had done it, and I know how bad it sucks.
It's brutal. Like, I did it last weekend.
Oh man, it's like you can run for a bit, and then a moment just comes, and your lungs catch up to you, and you're just trying to dump CO2, and it's like, I mean, my lungs are burning for like 3 days after. Right. And it was the coolest moment. I would say like this is probably where the concept of my business model was born. Is we get up to the top of Phipps, and Mooney is just dead, and he's rolling around on the ground. He's sweating. He's filthy. And he looks at me. He's like, dude, Montana might be the spot. And I was like, you like that? And it was like the hardest physical thing, but it was just so simple. And it was like on a trail. It wasn't in a weight room, wasn't on a field. And I'm like, how can I blend these two worlds? So from that point, ended up being working out where I couldn't do both my job and then also do this. So went out on my own and created, last year was like the first year where I was like full-time. I'm working as an NFL offseason performance coach. Right. And in the spring, went to Atlanta. He plays for the Atlanta Falcons now. Went to Atlanta, and it was him and then a guy on the team. His name is Dylan Drummond. And Drum was like more so a practice squad guy, and then he was trying to, get on the active roster. So he and Mooney and me and TP would train. In Atlanta, we'd go to like random fields, turf, grass, around like the Gwinnett area, because I'm from Georgia. Yeah. And I like research and would just drive all over the place finding, field to train. And then we rented out a facility to train like in the weight room. Right. Train a ball all the way up to OTAs. And then last summer we went out to Bend, Oregon, and Lex is from Oregon. So I knew Bend was a cool spot, and did the same thing. And like, it was even more so like we trained a bunch, but we even did even more outdoor activities. Yeah. We floated the river. We, went on like these bigger hikes. We like spent more and more time outside. And I was like, and dude, that's what you talk about, like life versus football. Yeah. Like that's the kind of stuff that I think these guys remember the most. I think I do a great job as their coach. I think I put them through a solid training program, but the things that they remember is like when I took them on that hike, and like showed them God's creation. And so that ends up being something that I always want to be a part of it. Now I'm going into the third season of doing this. Actually leaving tomorrow to go to Georgia. I'll be in Georgia for a few months, and then we'll go to Bend again this summer. And I took them to a few spots in Georgia, just like on some hikes and stuff. Yeah. We ran up Stone Mountain one day, which is like pretty close to downtown Atlanta. Okay. But yeah, now that's my main deal.
I love that. Yeah. So going from, it's so funny to think about like all of the chapters that you've had, going from like training with like Navy dolphins, all the way to the point where you're, for real, all the way to the point where you're doing this as your thing. And what's so cool to me is that throughout the whole way, it seems like it's been so passion led, from wanting to be outside, wanting to train athletes, and you've had this like the sense of trust in whatever that passion is, that you've been willing to sleep on your buddy's floor. You've been willing to do long distance for 3 years. Like there's a lot of really hard life stuff that you're willing to just be like, yeah, but I'm going to do me, do exactly what I'm supposed to do. And launching a business is a very difficult thing, because up until that point, there's, obviously some unpaid positions in there, but somebody's signing a paycheck, somebody's doing all that kind of stuff. And this is a huge bet on, I'm doing my thing now. Like, I'm going to build this thing. Yeah. And so after having all of those different life transitions, what was this one like, where it's like, all right, man, it's me. Like this, we're stepping fully into this passion that we found. Yeah. What's that process been like? 'Cause that's a huge leap.
Yeah. I think the original excitement came from being able to blend the two worlds that I love the most. And also having, I want to bet on myself at this point. Like I do. Like I think I can create something really special. And I think like especially when Mooney came to Billings, and like I saw that, I was like, man, these two worlds can exist. And I think the way most guys train, they go to a big city. It's usually warm. They train with a group of dudes in a facility. They've got everything, but then that's it. It's just training. And like I want to be known for more than just training, and I want to have an impact on their actual life and their experiences that they go through. Because I would say like one of the things that I love doing just as much as coaching is like immersing someone into an experience that they probably would have never experienced unless I took them there. And I guarantee you, he would have never come to Billings unless I was like, dude, you got to come to Billings.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, and then he sees Montana, and then he sees the mountains, and then like the same with him and Drum last summer, like seeing Oregon. Dude had a blast. They had a blast in Oregon.
Yeah.
Ended up training. Like we had a few more guys join the Oregon sessions too, and it was like, did like there's a guy named Jackson. He pushed for the Jets. He joined us, and then we went to Smith Rock, which is kind of like a Oregon version of Phipps.
Okay.
And we did the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was probably more excited about taking him up there than I was about like taking him through speed work and a lift.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think just for me, man, like I've never looked at myself as an entrepreneur. I was more so like, I'm very structured. I'm very OCD about like schedule and like how I spend my time.
Yeah.
And up to this point, I never looked at myself as like an entrepreneur, but then like seeing something that I don't feel like really it truly exists in the capacity that I think it can exist, and having an opportunity, and for Mooney to bet on me as his coach, and like to be able to like start this whole thing. Like, I'm like, why not? Like, why would I not try to see what I can make happen? So at this point, it's like, dude, I've got these two passions. I want to blend them. Training in it, I'll say this, like training guys that are in the NFL, I would say probably harder than my experience as a college strength coach, just because of like the intricacies of like, they're already at the top. Like I did not make none of the guys that I trained last year fast. They were already fast. I got to like find that extra 1% or just like help them just like operate at their true potential. Yeah. And like, to me, that's so fun. Like to me, that is like dialing in that kind of stuff and like being able to use, like not just base level training, but like take them to that next step and like to have an even better season. Yeah. Like to me, that's super motivating. And then too, to be honest with you, like I would have never had as much time with my son as I did this past off season without being fully bought in, full go, like as they're off season. Yeah. But then when they're in season, I had more time with him than I would have ever had as a college strength coach.
You get to be full out on being a dad.
Cause that's football. That's football season. Yeah. And everybody knows like during football season, you don't do anything. Right. You got a wedding to go to? No, you don't have a wedding to go to. You got, we play on Saturday. Right. And like for them, and it was hard in its own way, but it's like I went from full-time NFL trainer to now like almost full-time dad. And now I just like, oh man, if this was the only season I ever got, and if this was the only time I was ever able to do this, and I was able to spend as much time as I just did with my son, I'd do it again. It's like so crazy, man. And I just looked at that and I was like, why not try? Why not make this a thing? And then I started doing, when they were in season, I started doing some more online programs for like guys like me and you, especially like new dads, who just like started train, love to train, love to get after it, became a dad, everything, was on the back burner. Right. And then now I'm trying to like pour into both sides of like when it's like in season time, like that's my crew that I'm trying to pour into. Yeah. And then like, dude, I cannot wait to start coaching these guys on Monday, and it's just so I don't know, it scares the crap out of me too. Cause it's like, I'm building something and it's really all up to me to make it happen. But I have this dream, and I would love to surround myself and build this to be surrounded with coaches that are like-minded and want to have the same type of kind of life flow, but at the same time have a passion for coaching, and also have a passion for, creating these experiences for, people who may never have gone to Montana or Oregon, that type deal. So
for sure.
Just
dude, it's so cool for me to hear, because like, I feel like I'm still in the, in some ways, like in the, like sleeping on my buddy's floor, phase of things. And it's so cool for me to like look at your story and see all of the different chapters that you've had, all to end up in a place where like you get the outdoor thing that you were thinking about doing when you were in college, because you get to go do that with the guys. And you also get to do this, like this passion that you picked up along the way. But the like journey and the way that you got there wasn't like, okay, I'm just going to grind. It's going to be linear. I'm going to work really hard for a little while and then it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's so inspiring to me, because it really seems like a reinforcement that if you just follow the things that you're passionate about and give everything to it, then you end up in a spot where you're at, where it's like, I got this one season where I was able to do the outside stuff with the guys. I was able to train some of the best athletes in the world, and I was able to be a dad. Like I got it.
Yeah.
That is the coolest freaking thing of all time, dude. And I think that people like me really need to hear that, because it is looking at the phases of the journey where you're not getting paid, you're getting screamed at over grains of rice, you're sleeping on your buddy's floor. Like you're wondering, am I going to be able to find a girl who likes me in this phase? Holy shit, man. I mean, during those moments, it looks really cool from behind and that story looks golden. But like when you're in the middle of some of those, being like, how much do I love this?
Yeah.
Can I actually, because there must have been so many places where it was like, I'll just go get another job at a CrossFit gym.
Yeah. Oh, those thoughts came often.
But there's no guarantee. The thing that gets me is like, there's, I think in so many movies and in so many, Instagram hype videos, you have this sense that you get this passion, you work really hard and it's going to be really tough. And you're going to have that Rocky cut scene where it's like, everything's difficult and you're sleeping on the floor and all of that. But the whole time you've got this conviction that one day it's all going to work out. And I think what's missing in so many of those is that conviction isn't always there.
Yeah.
In the movies, the guy's like, oh, I'm in the shit right now, but I'm going to win the championship some days. What it doesn't show is like, there's days where you wake up and it's like, why am I even doing this in the first place? And yeah, man, I think it's so cool that you're in the spot that you're in now. Cause I can only imagine you had like so many opportunities to just be like, man, I'll just go coach at a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
Like, maybe this isn't what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say along the way, it's probably not my doing as far as like going from step to step. It was more so like, there's been people that have believed in me and like even suggesting that I even like try to coach athletes was not even on my radar. And then because of that suggestion, I went to C. And then from there, I went to grad school. And then it's like, I think the biggest thing is like, I put myself in positions to have an opportunity, even though I probably it didn't make a lot of sense to go there in the first place. Like it's been a really weird path to get here, but at every step along the way, it's probably been more so of the people around me and the community that I was a part of than it was me actually like making those things happen.
Yeah. At the beginning, you said that your community determines your ceiling.
Your ceiling. Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah. Like, yeah, your community determines or defines your ceiling. I would say, man, like it's awesome to have plans, but like the people around you will have the ability to bring you further and like to accomplish more and to dream bigger than you probably ever would on your own. And like every step along the way, I feel like that's one thing I have done a decent job of, is putting myself in rooms that like, I'm not the smartest. I'm definitely not the most like physical, like let's say even competition wise.
Yeah.
Like you will train your best when you're in a room full of people who are in better shape than you, because then you realize like there's a bigger circle than the bubble you normally put yourself in. Yeah. Community just matters so much. And it's like being intentional about the people that you invite into your circle is huge, but often you have to go first. Like you have to be the first one to be like, you know what? I'm like starving for a community of people who want similar things as I do. And it's more accessible than I think people realize. Like there are people all around you who want the exact same things you do, but probably aren't going to be willing to like step into that uncomfortable space and be like, man, this is what I want. Does anybody else want this? And I think like, if you are willing to do that, and if you are willing to be vulnerable enough to be like, let's say you move to a new spot.
Yeah.
It's like the first two things you should do, in my opinion, join a church, join a gym.
Yeah.
If that's what you are into, it's like, and by doing that, you immediately put yourself in a position with people that are like-minded, possibly want the same things you do. And if not, you go try another community.
Yeah.
And you go like find, another circle that will lift you higher. And it's like, there's people all around that I feel like have the ability to do more and to dream bigger and to find their potential and to see what they're capable of, but they're often not willing to just step outside of their own little bubble and like put themselves in a position to actually meet the people that may end up believing in them more than they'll ever believe in themselves.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of times where I would say, this is true for my wife, like I bring her into almost everything, especially like with like, I'll ask her opinion on almost everything. And like, she is one of the people that believes in me more than I probably like believe in myself. And it's like, my brother's the same way. That dude at the Iron Tribe was the same way. Mooney, same deal. He's like, dude, no, you need to think. He literally was like, stop thinking so small. Like, think big. I need you to think big. And like, by telling me that, I'm like, you step back, take a breath, look 30,000 feet up, and then you realize like, oh, okay, there's more. And why not I go for it? But it's like putting yourself in a position around those people that will lift, that you get that feeling from, like at Black Orchid.
Yeah.
And putting yourself in a position with more people. And if it's not that group, because there's people that can bring you down too.
Yeah.
You can also put yourself in a community that will take you the opposite way of which you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be afraid to just like continue to like try to find those people around you, because they're everywhere.
How do you make the ask to be a part of those communities?
Yeah.
Because I think that going first, one of the things that's difficult is it's very easy for us to like put those people on pedestals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they probably don't have the time, or they probably won't think I'm cool enough, or they probably won't think I'm, for whatever reason, qualified to have a seat at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had a couple different moments reaching out to strength coaches, saying yes to internships, where you've put yourself in those situations. So how do you make that ask and be willing to throw yourself in the fire to become a part of those communities?
I think that I told my buddy Elijah this the other day. I was like, dude, you have to be willing to have conversations with people that you would otherwise feel like you have no business having conversations with. It's like, go reach out. If you want to know something about a certain subject, or you want to be a part of a community, then go to like the person who's like the best at that and ask them for advice. And what I think I've realized is that most people, if you're vulnerable enough to put yourself, and this is probably not true for people with big egos or things like that, but if you're willing to be vulnerable enough to put yourself in a position to go up to somebody and say like, man, I know I'm not at the level that you're at. And I know I don't maybe know as much, or like I can't keep up, but like, this is what I'm trying to do. Most people, if you're that vulnerable, will look at you and want to help. And like, I think but then sometimes too, it's not, maybe the community doesn't even exist yet. Like we got a good solid group of dudes. Talk about leaving. Like, I'm sad to leave these dudes and go to Georgia.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find a new crew. But like, literally just started working out, and then asked one buddy if he wanted to train with me. Another guy came on board, and now we've got this tight little community. But it was like, dude, I started training by myself. And then from that point, people want to know what you're doing and things like that. But I would say sometimes it's you creating that community as well.
Right.
But making the ask, I think just being honest and being willing to say like, I don't know the answers. Like, maybe I don't deserve to be in this conversation, but I really want to learn if you'll help me. And I feel like if you can get in front of most people, they'll be like, you know what, genuine person, like solid reasoning for wanting to be a part of this. And who knows? Yeah.
I think it also comes back to what we were talking about earlier with being willing to just like tell somebody that they're doing great and and reach out to them and like be that light. I think that one of the things that I have to remind myself when I'm seeking mentorship or seeking advice or like trying to put myself in one of those circles is that if there was somebody who approached me who was in a phase of life that I've been in already, there's nothing more rewarding than being able to be like, oh, dude, like I have gone through the thing you're going through. I've hit the roadblocks. I'm doing this and that. If I get to be a part of your journey and like help you navigate this thing really well, how rewarding for me. Like I get excited about being able to mentor or just like be a positive part in somebody's journey. But there are times that I forget that feeling exists when I'm like ready to ask somebody else for help.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really important thing to remember is like the people who you're putting on a pedestal probably just don't get asked that much.
Yeah.
There's a book that I'm reading right now called The Third Door. And this kid, Alex Banyan, was essentially he was leaving college and essentially set out to create this like book for all of the highest, with like advice from all the highest performers in the world of how they like found their thing and then built it. And he ends up getting this like shadow opportunity for like 2 days with Tony Hsieh, who's the head of Zappos. And at the end of the second day, he's like seeing that a lot of the people inside of the organization that he like shows up to these meetings with this guy and, you know, he's sitting right next to him in his chair and he's doing all this. All these people in the organization who have been there forever are looking at him and like have envy in their eyes. They're like, how did you get this opportunity to learn from this like absolute rock star? I've been here forever and I didn't get it. And at the end of the second day, Alex brings it up. He's like, hey dude, like it seems like everybody else like really would love the opportunity that I get. Why'd you give it to me? He goes, nobody ever asks.
Yeah. Dang.
And I think that did like that hits me so hard because I'm like, how many of the opportunities that you have on a pedestal or the people that you want to be friends with or get advice from, do you just assume that their mailbox is like chock full of stuff and that they're like unlimited?
Hear from you.
I mean,
yeah.
If you just assume that you can't ask or assume that they're too busy or something like that, like for what?
Right.
For what?
Right.
And I almost
Talk
think
yourself out of it.
Yeah. And I almost think that like the top 1% of whatever, it's like everybody's just assuming that they're getting blown up. So like they're probably actually a lot more reachable and a lot more accessible in some ways than the people who are kind of like in whatever the middle zone exists in.
Right. And there's people.
Yeah, dude.
It's like if you can, especially if they have any sort of clout, if you can like take that away and just be like, this is another, you know, guy or girl. And then I'm just like curious as a human being. And I really want to know, like, man, I don't know. I feel like that might be refreshing for somebody like that.
1,000%.
You know?
Yeah. There's that idea that it's idiots all the way to the top. But the only difference is most of the people that you put on a pedestal probably got good at one thing at the cost of everything else. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like Kobe got really good at basketball. His days probably look really boring if you're not into basketball.
For sure.
Right? It's like, you're not doing a million things. You're doing one thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Really well.
Yeah.
I love that. So with Wild Edge now, I'm so excited that we were able to do this. What are the next things as you look at thinking big and you look at being able to blend these two worlds that like nobody else is really doing right now? What are you excited about right now?
I'm excited about, honestly, I'm just excited about, I feel like I've been able to see like a possibility of like what training, I don't know. I've studied a lot of off-season trainers, regardless of the sport. And I just see what that looks like. And I see the process and that from a training perspective, like there are benefits and it works. But then I think what I'm most excited about is the possibility of creating something a bit bigger that lasts longer.
Yeah.
You know, that will like last further than their football career and will like teach them that like in that book, A Lot at Heart, it's like there are some inherent things that like God has given you as a man, and like whether it's danger or risk or being uncomfortable or being outside and being in an environment that feels way bigger than you can even imagine, that those kind of things are like something that I want to continue to expose guys to, you know, players to.
Yeah.
And I think doing more of that, but then encompassing it in like it has to make the training will always be the priority.
Right.
And that has to be our focus, but then I want it to be bigger than that. I want it to be more fun than that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I'm ready to like die on a hill, you know, and just kind of go all in and see what I can create and bring on coaches alongside me that share that same deal and can push the vision even more forward. But ultimately just, you know, pouring into people and both what they want to do as an athlete, but also as a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I know that we were talking earlier about the people that have like that thing, right? And that it like,
Mhm.
it shows up in all different shapes and sizes and all that, but you've certainly got that thing. And I'm super
bro.
glad that I was able to like see it. Cause I remember I've seen the group that you have in the gym and all that.
Yeah.
And like I asked one of the dudes at one point, I was like, what are these guys doing? Like, what's that? Just like you said, like it's got that magnetic thing about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, pretty much right away, I was like, I can tell that this is somebody who's got whatever that it factor is. And the more conversations that I have like this one, it comes from like years and years of being willing to like do all of the hard stuff in pursuit of this, like this vision. It's just like, nah, man, how cool would it be? How cool would it be if we didn't think small about this thing? It was like, I could do the life thing and the outside thing and be a dad and train like the best athletes in the world all at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find my way to it. And dude, I just like, I think that Darnell was so right when he said like, think bigger on this thing, because regardless of how good the idea is, I think that the energy that you bring to that idea is so contagious. And I can't wait to see where it goes, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Sweet.
Dude, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Man, this is awesome.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah. I'm excited for you too, man.
Thanks.
This is big.
Yeah.
And you're pursuing your thing and that you're passionate about. And man, I'll be here for you. Love to keep chatting, as I keep going. So
absolutely. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for doing this.
All right.
Alrighty, everybody. Chase your thing, find it, and sleep on your buddy's floor if you got to.
There you go.
Be your feeder. We love you.